the big teams that they used to. What was the story of how you brought NC State to town, or you scheduled that game when you were the coach at ETSU?
Well, that's a good question. And by the way, he and I and Jeff Mullins are the last three AD and head coaches of major sport at D1 schools.
Mm-hmm.
The UNC system put a rule you couldn't do it anymore. So I was one of the last three when I left East Tennessee, went to NC State. They never had, and no one ever has since. But anyhow, how the game, you're talking about how I schedule the game?
Yes, because we're here trying to get some decent opponent to play ETSU in Johnson City.
This might be the best part of the story. He told me in August, late, Alan and Dave were assistants. He called me up. He needed a game on whatever the date was, because say December 19. It was the last game before Christmas, 1989. And I said, gee, tickets the next day going to Hawaii, the Rainbow Classic. I said, we're leaving out of Johnson City, 10:30. We'd have to ride the bus all night and not even have time to pack. And just go straight to the airport in Johnson City. But I couldn't change 250 Raleigh or whatever. But I'm not one to ever pass up a deal. And I said, but Jim, if you come up here to Johnson City the next year, I would ride the damn bus all night. And he said, Les, I'm not coming to Johnson City. You are too good. I don't know why he's calling Flaming home, because we were good. And so about 2 weeks later, he can't get a game. I don't know this. He called me. Les, I'll come up there the next year. And I said, you will? I said, well, send me the contracts. I hung up the phone and told my assistant, I said, hey, we got Val Van and the Wolfpack coming up here next year. I said, we'll sell this place out, raise the ticket, we'll have the greatest crowd ever here. And I said, it's going to be unbelievable. So obviously I did nothing, and I ended up being right. It was the biggest crowd ever. But Val Van wasn't there. And the real joke behind the story is he and I remained friends when I took over. And we talked a lot, and secretly got together. He said, you want me to stay with me publicly. He actually said it. But I called, want to get together with him. He said, no, we'll see each other on the road. But he was going to ESPN. And that was the first time I saw him. An ESPN game, East-West. We talked several times. But anyhow, when we were getting ready to go, he called me a week or so before. He said, oh, man, he said, I love that. He said, you scheduled that thing. You guys go up there. He loved it. He called for me in every game except at East Tennessee State. Let me get my rear kicked up there. And he laughed about that forever. And I understood it. It didn't bother me at all.
We're talking to Les Robinson about tomorrow, 28 years ago. It is what I think certainly one of, and I think probably the city. I mean, we had Bristol. You can talk about the races or miners or the Battle of Bristol, something like that. But in Johnson City, ETSU beating NC State 28 years ago tomorrow was pretty darn big at the time, in front of 12,000 people, and really installing ETSU as a nationally ranked team for the remainder of the season. And it's the only season in which ETSU has been nationally ranked. Now, I did want to ask, the game was decided late, 10 seconds left, and you've got the last shot, and a kick out to Rodney Monroe on the left wing. Rodney Monroe slips and falls and is called for traveling, and basically that's it. That's the game. 94-91 ETSU win. What did you say to Rodney Monroe? Do you remember that after you slipped?
He slipped on a wet spot. I was sorry that happened, and obviously, but no, we didn't lose any people, but it was over. And by the way, as I said earlier, we went on and had a great year, and it was a loss, a tough one, but to be a part of one of the greatest games ever played up there. And Tennessee could brag they beat the team that beat the national champions too, and beat the Final Four team, North Carolina. And we beat both of them. So that was a great credit. And if I had to lose a game, I'd want to lose to the guys that I brought in there, recruited. They're like sons to me. I wanted to win at NC State, but I had to lose a game to a bit. And the people, of course, treated me great up there. It was one of the nicest ovations. Turned out, the first 2 or 3 years, it was rough.
You sure?
I didn't know it.
7-21, I remember it. The famous loss to North Carolina. Yeah, I can recall.
But I know that I'm not talking about that.
Mm.
I told Dave Hanners, I said, we got to get some backcourt. We don't, you know, I forget what it was, but we lost 5 scholarships and was on probation, something else, you know, through a couple of years behind the 8 ball. And then finally, we were able to recruit again. That's when Dave Hanners went to work recruiting Greg Dennis from my hometown. He found him. And Greg ever, for me, in terms of the circumstances. He was an outstanding player, all-time leading scorer, I think, still at Tennessee. And there were many other great players on that team, outstanding players, the guards and different ones. But anyhow, Greg Dennis, Dave Hanners is the one that found me. And he's in my hometown. I'm St. Albans, 8 miles away. And get this, we go up there for the first visit. His dad, stepfather, worked in the mine, not a coal mine, but he had a good job. Mother was a nurse, and I'm sitting in there, and the mother said, "Coach, I understand you're from St. Albans, right down the road." I said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "But actually, I was born right over the hill here. And where I said, up on the porch, you go down to see Charleston, the city. You were born in what hospital?" I said, "McMillan." No, she said, "I'm a nurse there." Okay, that's a pretty good little start. We talked a little further. She said, "You go to St. Albans?" I said, "Yeah, I went all through school, St. Albans. Graduated in 1960. She said, "Did you ever know Frank Roy?" Oh, my goodness. Frank Roy was a football ball player and basketball, better basketball player, football, basketball, and track. He ended up doing great at West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
We were best friends. He and his wife and my wife and I double dated. We weren't married, of course. When we were 17 years old at senior prom, they rode with us. And we were very, very close. And then stayed in touch. We were at 50th High School reunion together. So anyhow, she said, "Did you know Frank Roy?" Well, I didn't want to tell her, "Oh, I just told you." Because I asked, I said, "You ever talk to him?" She said, "Oh, yeah, we talk every week or two." I said, "Will you tell him I said hello?" Because I knew he would tell her what I would tell him. And that would lock it up. They called me a few days later after she said, "Frank said you were one of his best friends." I said, "Oh, yeah, I told you we were good friends." So that helped us, obviously.
Well, we're talking to Les Robinson, and I want to make a couple of points. It's a great story right there on how you got Greg Dennis. I mean, being from the same hometown and knowing people that the family knew, that's always great to have that tie-in and such. But I did want to say the year ETSU did defeat NC State. Actually, they did it 3 times. ETSU lifetime is 3-1 against NC State. They're also 3-1 lifetime against Florida State. I bet you didn't know that, ETSU fans. Your team did make the NCAA tournaments, and the other. But I did want to. You really had a knack in scheduling some major opponents to come into Johnson City. In addition to NC State, Wake Forest came in during your tenure. I think you had Virginia Tech come in. I know Michigan State came in twice during the 90s. I know you weren't responsible for both games and such, but I mean, it came where you got the ETSU schedule and you just couldn't wait to see what that big name opponent was going to be that was coming to Johnson City. How come those games aren't played anymore? How come it's so difficult for mid-majors to get the major opponents?
That's a very good question. And I got some big-time people who go to mid-major places when I was on the basketball committee, because what the big boys sometimes don't understand is for the NCAA, it's better for a big-time school, Big Ten or ACC school, or lower division, Big South, on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're in that room, and I know I was one of 8 for 7 years, picked every team, every site, completely runs the NCAA tournament, everything about it. And so you have to know a good bit about it to have that position. And I used to tell guys, I say, you beat a no name at home, we don't even look at it. I mean, it's a win, but we know that you have 6 of them, and you paid $3.5 million for them. But you beat some of those same teams on the road, and it's a road game. It looks different, and it means more. It's road, and they can win on the road. But you got to watch who you pick. But that's one of the things I used to promote
And I want to say, didn't Kansas was scheduled, but they bought the game out. I don't know if that was your doing or if it was Alan LaForce. There was a game actually in Kansas that LaForce's horrible game. Kansas was number 2 in the country. They started off with a 22-0 run to lead the game. The game wound up in the second half. ETSU had a slim lead. They wound up losing by 3. But after falling behind 22-0, and I know Kansas was supposed to come into Johnson City, but they bought the game out later on.
That,
yeah, and all that. That was going to be another thing that was. But yeah, intriguing right there. I hope more people and more major conference opponents will listen to that, because it sure was fun.